Hey, what's up guys? Christopher Krause here. Today we're going to talk about a pretty sensitive topic that most people don't like to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it today. It's called TRT, testosterone rehab therapy. There's 4 types of testosterone that most people don't realize that you can use when it comes to testosterone rehab therapy is propionate, enanthate, saponate, and undecanate. I'm going to give you a breakdown on pros and cons and all those 4 types of testosterones, but right now I'm going to talk about propionate. The most common for competitors, athletes, people who want to keep the water retention down but want to get a quick instant spike of testosterone, get their levels back to normal. I usually use this when I'm cutting down for summer or just keeping the water retention down. But there's cons and pros on this as well. The cons are you have to inject every other day. So if you don't like needles, probably want to steer away from that. And then the pros are, like I said, it speeds up recovery, helps sleep, increases libido. There's a lot of benefits behind that, as well as it keeps the water retention down. Most people like that because testosterone alone will hold water retention. So most people don't like that. So this keeps it under control. The dosage that I usually use for propionate is around 75 to 150 milligrams a week. I try to divide that up into smaller dosages throughout the week if you inject it a little more often. Like I said, that is a con for most people, but keep the dosage under control so you're not going to get that erratic spikes and cause aromatizing in the body. And that usually gets your hormones all wacky. So focus on trying to keep the dosages the same every other day or every day, depending on the dosages. All right, saponate. Saponate is one of the most common used for TRT. Most of the clinics that I go to when it comes to testosterone rehab therapy, they always recommend saponate. The reason why they do that is because, like I said, most people don't like doing injections very often. It's very mild spikes at the same time. You can probably spread out your dosages from 7 to 10 days. I seem to work when it comes to keeping the testosterone under control and level. The cons on this is that if you don't keep the dosages the same every week, this causes estrogen spikes. So saponate is known for that. So keep your dosages the same every week and don't skip your days. Make sure if you do an injection every 7 days, that means you do an injection every 7 days. So that's the most common, most people use. It does the same thing as propionate, speeds up recovery, increases libido. It also helps you sleep. So I just noticed that saponate is one of those things that most people like because it puts them in a nice REM sleep, and that's always good for recovery. The cons on saponate, it does hold water retention versus propionate. So if you want to keep the water in control and you're sensitive when it comes to testosterone in your body, probably want to switch to propionate. Saponate has a tendency to do that. But the dosages on this one, I try to keep it 200 to 250 a week, 7 to 10 days, depends on where your level's at. So remember guys, when you take testosterone, make sure you see a doctor. There's also several clinics you can try out. There's True Test. There's online programs called Hone that you can actually try, that you can send in blood work. But always talk to a doctor, get your blood work done, make sure that your levels are correct, they need to be. Like I said, it all depends on the individual. If your testosterone's low, they basically adjust the dosages based on where your levels are at. Let's talk about enanthate. Enanthate is pretty much identical to saponate. It's more of a kind of slightly water base. I just noticed that saponate is more oil based. It's more convenient when it comes to spreading out your injections every 7 to 10 days versus enanthate doing it every 5th day. When it comes to experience, enanthate, I noticed that it holds less water retention versus saponate, and injections are more often. So when it comes to adjusting your milligrams throughout the week, be careful with this one. Make sure that your doses are the same every 5th day and try not to skip those days. Like I said, it doesn't last in the system as long as saponate, and it holds less water retention. It does the same thing with all the other testosterones, helps with recovery, helps with sleep, helps with increase in libido. It's a good one. So like I said, get your blood work done, figure out what your levels are, and adjust your levels based on that. All right, guys, let's talk about the last testosterone called undecanate. Most people don't understand like I said, there's 4 types of testosterone. This one is probably not the most common. Most doctors don't recommend for clients. Well, it depends on the injections. and how often you don't want to inject. But people who do not want needles, injections every other week or every fourth, fifth day, Undeconate is one option. Undeconate is a real oil-based testosterone that can be spread from 10 to 20 days. Dosages are all based on your blood work, and it's done by a doctor because this is such a deep injection to the muscle that it's required by a professional to do these injections. But Undeconate is one of those things that it's a con when it comes to the amount of testosterone that's going in, and a pro when it comes to convenience of less injections throughout the week. So talk to your doctor, see what they recommend, make sure you get your blood work done every often, and making sure your levels are nice and level. All right, everyone, before I end this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help this channel. I'm trying to get this growing. If you want to know anything about supplements or anything about TRT, just go make a comment down below. I'd love to help you out. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Peace out.